Think about the best day of your life. Like, really picture it.
Oh, that is a big question to start with.
Right. But now, what if I told you that your brain is actively deleting the details of it?
Yeah, which is terrifying, honestly.
It is. Science actually tells us that high adrenaline, highly emotional moments
Yeah.
literally cause our memories to blur. You're just so present in the joy, you know?
Oh,
They're
completely.
overwhelmed by the sheer sensory input. I mean, there's 100 conversations happening, the swelling music, the pounding of your own heart.
Yeah, you become physically incapable of recording it all accurately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if your own brain cannot be trusted to perfectly remember the biggest day of your life, well, who can?
And that is the ultimate paradox of these massive life events, right?
Mm.
The more significant a moment is to you personally, the less capable you are of stepping back to observe it objectively.
Because you're in it.
You are feeling it. Yeah, you aren't recording it. And frankly, relying on just one person with a single camera to document that kind of sprawling, chaotic joy. I mean, it's asking the impossible of them, too.
They're only human.
Exactly. They're bound by the laws of physics. They can only look in one direction at a time.
Which brings us to the mission of today's deep dive. We are looking at a really comprehensive guide from the industry. It's titled Second Shooter and Videographer Teams for Multi-Angle Wedding Coverage.
It's a great source.
It really is. And our goal today is to kind of demystify how modern event media is actually captured. We're going to show you that telling a complete story, your complete story, it takes an entire coordinated team.
So, okay, let's unpack this because the sheer scale of modern event media has completely transformed.
Oh, totally.
I mean, we are miles away from the days of an uncle standing in the aisle with a camcorder.
Right, and I think we need to frame this properly right from the start. This is no longer just about taking pretty pictures.
What is it about then?
What we are really discussing is an investment in comprehensive memory preservation.
Ooh, comprehensive memory preservation. I like that. Yeah, it is a fundamental shift, moving from simply documenting who was in the room to actively constructing a multi-angle narrative of the entire day.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But before we get into the massive cinematic video productions, I feel like we have to start with the foundational upgrade to wedding photography.
The second shooter.
Yes, the concept of the second shooter. Now, for anyone listening who hasn't planned a major event recently, a second shooter is just an additional photographer who works alongside the primary one.
Right.
But the guide makes it very clear that they are not just an assistant holding a lighting reflector.
Oh, far from it.
Mm.
No, they are capturing entirely alternative angles, candid moments, and the behind-the-scenes reality that the main photographer is guaranteed to miss.
Because the main one is glued to the couple.
Exactly. The primary photographer has to stay with the main action.
So the source material breaks down their core responsibilities, right? And the first one solves a massive logistical headache.
Groom prep.
Yes. Capturing the groom's preparation while the main photographer is focusing on the bride. I mean, they're literally in two places at once, often miles apart.
Yeah, you can't be in two hotel rooms at the same time.
Exactly. And then during the ceremony, the second shooter is getting those sweeping wide-angle perspectives from the balcony, while the primary is up close, getting the tears during the vows.
It's all about coverage.
Right. Think of it like a live sports broadcast.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Yeah. If you only have one camera fixed on the quarterback, you completely miss the wide receiver's incredible catch downfield or the crowd's reaction.
Right, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, that concept of depth is where the psychology of memory really comes into play. The source points to this idea of emotional depth.
Emotional depth.
Yeah, having that second perspective fills in the emotional gaps that you couldn't possibly process in the moment because of that adrenaline blur we talked about earlier.
Okay, I want to visualize that emotional depth. Paint a picture for me of what that actually looks like in a final wedding album.
Okay, let's take the classic moment. The doors open at the back of the venue, and the bride begins walking down the aisle.
Classic.
Right. The primary photographer is at the altar, shooting straight down the aisle at her. That is the iconic, absolute must-have shot.
Obviously.
But what is the groom doing in that exact fraction of a second?
Right.
With a second shooter positioned specifically to monitor him, you capture his exact reaction, the tears, the sharp intake of breath, the smile at the very same microsecond.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when you look at the final album, you aren't just seeing an isolated action, you are seeing the simultaneous reaction. It provides an emotional context that a single perspective simply cannot deliver.
Okay, so the second shooter solves the problem of visual perspective. You get the action and the reaction. But a photograph is perfectly silent.
Very true.
When you look at that photo in 10 years, you won't hear the catch in his voice during the vows or, the exact song
Huh.
playing as the doors opened. To capture the actual atmosphere, we have to move from freezing time to recording reality, which naturally brings us to the videography teams.
Yes. While photographers freeze a microsecond, videographers bring the entire environment back to life. It is about motion, sound, and narrative storytelling.
Which is a whole different beast.
Totally. And what the guide highlights is that a professional videography team is highly specialized. It is not just someone holding a video camera instead of a still camera.
Right.
We're talking about multiple camera operators, dedicated post-production editors, and crucially, audio specialists.
Okay, I have to stop you there because when you start listing off audio specialists and multiple operators, it sounds like we are funding an indie film.
I know it sounds like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you on wanting to capture the echoing ballroom or the vows, but thousands of dollars for clean audio still feels pretty steep.
Yeah.
So what exactly is an audio specialist doing that, like a good lapel mic clipped onto the groom's tuxedo, can't do by itself? Is the audio specialist really that necessary, or is that just a convenient upcharge?
See, that is the exact trap people fall into when budgeting for video. What's fascinating here is the sheer amount of invisible technical work required to make a video sound just normal.
Normal.
Yes, a single lapel mic on the groom is a nightmare waiting to happen.
Wait, really? Why?
Okay, think about it. What if the bride speaks very softly during her vows and the groom's mic doesn't pick her up?
Oh, true.
What if the officiant turns their head away from the couple to address the audience? What if the groom's jacket rustles against the microphone every single time he breathes?
Oh man, I hadn't even thought about the clothing rustle. That would ruin the entire audio track.
It happens all the time in amateur video, just constant scratching sounds. So an audio specialist doesn't just mic the groom. They mic the officiant. They hide a specialized ambient mic near the bride.
Sneaky.
Very. And during the reception, they don't rely on the camera's built-in microphone to record the speeches through the echoing acoustics of a giant ballroom.
Right, because that always sounds like you're underwater.
Exactly. Instead, they pull a direct digital audio feed right from the DJ soundboard.
Oh, so they are capturing the raw audio before it even hits the room's speakers.
Exactly. When you watch a professionally produced highlight reel, what actually drives the emotion of the video?
The music.
The music, yes. But it's not just the slow motion footage. It is the crystal clear audio of the vows being spoken, laid underneath the visual of the couple getting ready hours earlier.
Oh, I love when they do that.
Right. It is the tearful speech from a parent driving the narrative arc of the entire film. Without pristine multi-track audio, the visual loses half its impact.
Okay, I'm tracking with the technical necessity of all this,
Yeah.
but I'm struggling to picture the physical reality of the event. Let's tally this up.
Okay.
We have a primary photographer, we have a second shooter, we have multiple camera operators, we have an audio specialist dodging clothing rustles.
Right.
They are all running around the exact same venue. If I'm a guest in the third row, and there's a guy with a massive lens, a drone operator, and a boom mic, aren't I just watching a film crew instead of a wedding?
That's a fair point.
Like, I'd imagine this could turn into a paparazzi situation.
Yeah.
Does having a massive media team ruin the intimacy of the wedding for the guests?
It's a completely valid fear. You picture this paparazzi swarm just blocking the view of the altar, but the guide emphasizes that true professionals rely heavily on what they call coordinated planning.
Coordinated planning.
Yes, it is an invisible choreography. Because they operate as a unified team, they actually scramble significantly less than a solo photographer does.
Okay, explain the mechanics of that choreography to me.
Yeah.
How do 5 people with cameras take up less psychological space than one person?
Well, long before the wedding day, the photography and videography teams collaborate to build detailed shot lists and comprehensive timelines.
So they map it all out.
Down to the minute. They know exactly where everyone needs to be. Think about a solo photographer. They have to be everything everywhere all at once.
Right.
They're frantically running from the front of the church to the back to get the wide shot, then sprinting to the side to get a guest reaction, then running back to the center for the ring exchange.
Right, I've seen that.
They are stressed, they're sweating, and they're highly visible because human eyes are drawn to sudden movement.
Right, so the solo shooter actually becomes the distraction.
Exactly. But a multi-angle team plays zone defense.
Zone defense.
Yes. One person is permanently fixed at the back balcony. One person is stationed discreetly on the side aisle. They communicate seamlessly through discrete earpieces to ensure they aren't physically in each other's frames.
So no one is photobombing anyone else?
Right. Nobody is sprinting down the aisle to catch a fleeting moment because someone is already there waiting for it to happen. It's an incredibly efficient workflow that creates a much calmer, quieter environment for the couple and the guests.
The irony is brilliant. Having more media personnel actually results in a less disruptive presence because they don't have to chase the action, they just let the action come to them.
That's the secret to those beautiful, intimate shots. The camera operators are perfectly still.
All right, the system sounds flawless, but we need to ground this in reality for you listening. When does a couple actually need to deploy a media team of this size?
Right. It's not for everyone.
And what is the financial reality of doing so? Because clearly this level of zone defense isn't required for a quick courthouse elopement.
No, definitely not. The guide offers clear benchmarks for when this level of coverage transitions from a luxury to an operational necessity.
Okay, what's the first benchmark?
First is the guest count. If you are inviting more than 100 guests, a single photographer physically cannot document the environment and the attendees while also covering the couple.
That makes sense.
Second, if you have multiple locations or events happening simultaneously, like we mentioned earlier, with the groomsmen and bridal party getting ready across town from each other.
Physics dictates you need two people.
Exactly. Third, if you have a strong desire for highly detailed candid coverage, you need those extra lenses scanning the crowd.
Right.
And finally, if you are planning a luxury or destination wedding where the environment, the architecture, and the design details are a massive part of the investment, well, you want that captured perfectly.
Let's talk about the budget realities, because the source provides average costs that give us a really clear picture.
Yeah, let's get into the numbers.
A second shooter typically averages between $300 and $800.
Yep.
I want to pause right there, because when you look at the average cost of a wedding overall, adding a second shooter for roughly $500 is an incredibly accessible upgrade.
Oh, absolutely.
The amount of emotional depth and additional coverage you get, that seems like the highest return on investment decision on the board.
It absolutely is. It's the most common upgrade in the industry for that exact reason. But then the guide looks at the videographer teams, which average between $1,500 and $5,000.
Right, which is a massive jump. It forces the question, what am I actually buying for $5,000?
It's a lot of money.
It is. I know we talked about audio equipment, but that still feels like a massive leap from an $800 second photographer.
Well, you are paying for what the industry calls the invisible hours.
Invisible hour.
Yeah, when you hire a photographer, their post-production process is intensive, sure, but a video team's post-production is a monumental undertaking. For every 8 hours they spend shooting your wedding, they are spending 40 to 60 hours in the editing bay.
Walk me through what they are actually doing for 40 hours.
Okay, they are culling through thousands of individual video clips from 3 different cameras.
Just sorting them.
Right. Then they have to manually synchronize all the different audio tracks we talked about, the soundboard feed, the lapel mics, the ambient room mics, so they match the visual perfectly.
That sounds tedious.
It is. Then they have to color grade the footage so that the camera by the bright window matches the camera in the dark corner.
Oh, so it looks like one cohesive movie.
Exactly. Finally, they have to creatively chop all of this up, find the emotional narrative arc, and edit it perfectly to the beat of a licensed music track. You aren't just paying for the camera operators on a Saturday, you are paying a salary for a professional editor for an entire week.
Wow. When you break down the hourly rate of the invisible hours, that $5,000 actually starts to sound entirely reasonable.
It really does. And the source also mentions the backup and reliability
Or
factor.
fail-safes.
This is the unspoken insurance policy. Look, technical issues happen. SD memory cards randomly corrupt.
The worst feeling.
Camera batteries die unexpectedly. Autofocus motors and lenses jam. If you have one person shooting and their camera fails during the first kiss or the vows, that moment is gone forever. Erased.
Oh, that gives me anxiety just thinking about it.
Having a multi-angle team means you have built-in redundancy. If camera A fails, camera B is still rolling from the balcony. You are buying a fail-safe against digital disaster for a once-in-a-lifetime event.
So essentially, I'm paying for an insurance policy on my memories. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for the couples who are going all in, right, who are looking at that higher budget tier for their media teams, what is the actual bleeding edge of this industry right now?